Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ern-Ern and our topic for today is all about hybrid discursive practices in a South African multilingual primary classroom, a case study. Now, what do you think about African education, or do you have any idea of what it is all about? Okay, we'll see. Now, based on the study, Africa has the highest rates of education exclusion. A study shows on this data discussed from research that was conducted in Johannesburg, where the official language of instruction is English, and the majority of learners are African language speakers. Now, based on the article that I've read, that their education is kind of different. Gikilaya ang South Africa as the poorest country, maunang hina ila education. Maunang gilaong na exclusion kay ang mga tao dito gamay ray nakahibayo na English, kay more likely ila language is Afrikaans ug waya sila mga educators dito na magatudlo sa ila. Also, a lot of unfortunates that can't study well due to financial expenses. And so the researchers conducted a research in Johannesburg, and as they have noticed, the instructors are more likely from North America, and the learners or students there are African language speakers, of course. They only know how to speak their dialect, which is CPD. Now, ang problema kay dili man kabayo ang mga American sa language ng African, so naay language barriers. Yet in this case, in this conduct, they will know on how they can or will adapt the language English and how the teacher and student could understand each other. Next. Yet, as Hauskin argues, the relationship between identity, power, and access to the language and practices of the school which are complex, such that being powerful positioned and inhabiting desirable identity positions within social networks doesn't necessarily lead to success in language learning. As Hauskin saying that there is no gender or state of life has to do with education. Everyone has the right to know and to adapt. Dapat kailangan pantay-pantay kay mapabadyo or layaki, mapadato or pobre, may karapatan tanan. In this case, education is about equality, na freedom and right to learn. Okay. They gathered data and made a research on the school on how they can identify how African can easily understand and adapt the language. It started from grade 1 to 7. They observed a kid named her Tommy who is proficient in CPD, a Bantu language of Southern Africa, and English. They also observed on how Tommy will interact on his good friend Lirato, a CPD home language speaker who is not proficient in English. Now, Tommy has a great ability and talent. She knows how to speak their mother tongue, which is CPD, and she's very good in English. The researchers observe how Tommy interact with his friend Lirato, who only know how to speak CPD, and he's not that good in English. Now, what happened is that as they are in a class, and since Lirato is not that good in English, because their instructor is an American, si Tommy nahimong translator para makasabot si Lirato sa kung uno ang pagatudlo ng iyang maestra. Next slide. The researchers have explored the observable effect of our focused learner Tommy's hybrid discursive practices. The most interesting in here is the manner in which she attempts to bring her peers into this conversation. Tommy is clearly playing a significant role in facilitating peer learning or a sub-teacher. Tommy is a part of greatly enhanced by her use of hybrid discursive practices or code switching between CPD and English. Now, the researchers have noticed the behavior of Tommy towards her peers, for she never tried to be selfish, never. Instead, she helps her peers to interact towards their teacher by being a translator or a sub-teacher. She helped out her peers to learn what she is also learning to her mentor and share it to them. She tried to encourage her peers to be in a conversation because she knows and understand well the word of education. And that it's not only for the one who understand, but also it's also for the weak one that will help out to know and to understand as well the education that they are learning. Maunang na ay gitawag na code of switching of two language kay si Tommy nahimo na siya ng translator para ang tanan magkasinabtanay, which is ang teacher og si Tommy para magkasinabtanay. Okay. Tommy's boundary crossing enables her to begin to narrow the gap in understanding that often exists between the teacher and the learners in South African classroom. In conclusion of the researchers that we cannot ignore the lack of knowledge both of the appropriate discursive practices and of the dominant language English that constrains the several of her peers who are less able to position themselves as successful learner or knowers, like an example of interaction between Tommy and Lirato. Mauna kibalin na si Tommy ang nahimo na way para ang gap sa teacher og student dili maglisod ug magkasinabtanay. So, as the conclusion of the researchers on this study, that lack of knowledge should not be ignored, as the one who has the knowledge should share it just like what Tommy showed on how she interacts toward her peers and Lirato to the class by adopting new breed of education. So that's all for my report. So thank you for listening.